We are live.
We are live. Okay. Welcome, everyone, to the October 6th, 2022 Community Board 10 Environmental Committee. And I would like to also welcome all the new members to the committee as well. So it's great to see faces. And tonight we have two presentations, one from the Bay Ridge Environmental Group and one from Narrows Botanical Gardens. Daniel, would you like, or Danny, sorry, would you like to start off?
Sure, I'll get us started. Great. It looks like I have permission to share my screen. I have the power, if that's okay.
You have that power, yes.
Okay, great. For anybody watching, this is also my first committee meeting, so I'm a little new to all of it. Okay, great. So as Tracy mentioned, my name is Daniel Loud. I'm the president of the Bay Ridge Environmental Group. You may have seen us on Saturday mornings at various points around the neighborhood, doing park cleanups and other events like that, which I'll talk a little bit more about what we do. So yeah, I guess I will get right into it. So, you know, just kind of a little bit of what I'm hoping I can talk to you guys all about today is, you know, one, what the environmental group is and what we do, but also to talk about, you know, some of our priorities for our neighborhood, and, you know, if not open a discussion on it tonight, hopefully get everybody to start thinking about ways that we can work with community board, you know, more broadly, but especially this committee going forward. I hope that there's more that we can do to help you all out, you know, in terms of outreach, but also, you know, thinking about some issues that affect our neighborhood. So I have a little bit of a roadmap of who we are, what we do, our priorities, and take it from there. So who we are. First, I think this is the best picture of our banner that was ever taken. So I thought I'd share that all with you. I did not take it. I'm not that good with this. So first of all, I just, you know, started with our mission statement. It's kind of a wall of text, so I'll leave you all to read it yourselves. But basically, you know, what we tried to capture in our mission statement, what we tried to do as a group, is make some of the huge global environmental issues we have local and encourage local engagement with these issues. You know, when we started the group about 2 years ago now, we were all kind of a group of residents who wanted a group like this, who wanted to, you know, stop just kind of feeling helpless around environmental issues and do something about it. So a lot of what we try to do is encourage people to get involved with these issues locally. And, you know, we know we're not going to single-handedly fix climate change, but we can help people understand these issues better and understand how to get involved with them. So, you know, a little bit about who we actually are as people. Like I said, we were founded about 2 years ago, November 2020. I keep telling people we're a new environmental group, but I actually don't think that's really true anymore. I think that passed a little over a year ago. So we have about 15 to 20 active members. You know, people come and go as their availability changes, but I'd say that's about where we're at. We have a 5-member executive board, including myself, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and a outreach chair, sorry. And then, you know, on social media, we also have some pretty extensive reach. We try to make sure that a lot of our events are open to the public and make sure that people can come in and get involved as much as they're available. Again, trying to improve local involvement. We want people to know about these and be able to come to them whenever they can. So what we do, so I'd say there are kind of 3 main prongs of the work that we do as a group. We do volunteering, advocacy, and education. Again, all sort of toward that central goal of helping people, you know, understand and get involved with some of these issues that otherwise might feel a little too big for them. to tackle on their own. Volunteering is, I'd say probably what we spend the majority of our time and effort on, and it's also the most visible side of our work. So, there's a few things we do. Our kind of most regular thing is monthly park cleanups. We basically go starting from Cannonball Park all the way down Shore Road, and then wrap our way back around. So these are great. We've have a variety of people who come. Some people have joined the group through those cleanups. Others, just kind of come by as they're able, which is great. And we also are partnering with other groups more and more in doing these. So just this past month, we partnered with Gay Ridge to do a cleanup of the Fort Hamilton High School athletic fields, which was a great event. This month, we're going to be working with Waterfront Alliance, who are a citywide group that tries to encourage education about safe and sustainable waterfronts. We do our street tree care days. Here we try and, take care of our local street tree pits. Bay Ridge has one of the highest numbers of street trees available around in the neighborhood. But, especially on the big avenues, they have a lot of litter, a lot of other issues that affect the health of the tree, which in turn affects the health of the neighborhood. So we try to clean those as best we can. We've partnered with Councilman Brannon and Senator Gunardis for their summer cleanups. We partnered with them on 2 of those this past year. And then one event that we did before the most recent budget cutbacks, basically cut curbside compost pickup for our community board district. We were canvassing to get people to sign up for that program, and hope that we'll be able to resume that again someday. Advocacy is the next prong of what we do. So this is a lot of work, both public, but also just kind of working and speaking with elected representatives and other environmental groups around the city and state to, address some of these environmental issues directly. So, there's a lot that we've done over the past year, over the past 2 years. I just see the comment. It was a very cold day to do canvassing. Yes. But we did it. The cleanups too, we do year round, I should mention. So, we're now in the sweet spot where it's not too hot and not freezing. So encourage you to come out if you're going to join us. So some of the advocacy work that we do, we have one-on-one meetings with legislators. By one-on-one, I more mean, a couple of members of the group speaking directly to the legislator. We've also collaborated with Senator Gunardis on press conferences for some of important pieces of state legislation that we'd like to see passed. Then we have also worked on several op-eds published in papers around the city. I mean, primarily in Brooklyn, but a few in Staten Island as well, discussing some important environmental issues that can be dealt with, at various levels of government, city, state, federal. We've worked on that. We collaborate with other environmental groups on various actions. We're part of the National Green New Deal Day back in August of last year, which was a really good event for us. And then, also just kind of in terms of the canvassing, but other stuff that we do, we speak to our neighbors about these issues and try to get them involved or at least aware of them. I mean, at least I feel a lot of the issues that we care very much about are ones that don't really make it into the public consciousness very much. So we try to talk to people about those issues and, educate them on it a little bit, which brings me to the next prong of what we do, education. So, beyond telling people just what we think and what we think they should support, we try to also make sure that our neighbors are as informed on environmental issues as possible. And then, encourage them to reach their own opinions. So a couple of the things that we do are town halls on various environmental ballot initiatives. So both last year and now this year, there are two environmental related ballot initiatives. Last year was an amendment to the state constitution to add an environmental rights amendment. And this year it's called the Environmental Bond Act, which would approve several $1 billion of funding for various climate priorities around the state. So, beyond just telling people to go to the ballot box and vote for these, we try to hold town halls where the people can actually learn about what these ballot initiatives would do and let them form their own opinions on whether to vote for it or not. We've created voters guides, I guess that should have been plural, for various races. Our first one that we did was for the Democratic primary for Congress. We talked to both of the candidates and put together a list of their environmental positions, and then shared that with people so that they understood where the candidates stood on those issues. And that's something we hope to do more broadly going forward. Going back to street tree care, we can't be everywhere all at once. And surprisingly, after you clean up a tree pit, people continue to litter in them. So, sorry, I didn't mean to click that. So we also tried to educate, residents, but also businesses on what they can do to keep their street trees clean on a more regular basis. And then finally, at summer strolls, at the green markets and elsewhere, we will hand out various types of educational material on everything from the ballot initiatives we've talked about, composting, how to deal with spotted lanternflies, to make sure that people know about these issues and know what they can do about them. Great. So next, I guess, is a little bit more of a nebulous talk about some of the, priorities we have for the neighborhood, some things that, we would like to work on going forward. And, like I said at the top, I encourage everyone here to kind of think about some of these priorities and think about how, this committee, community board, can collaborate with our group going forward to push for some of these priorities. If you support them, of course. If not, I guess, listen anyway and see what you think. So first is waterfront resiliency. So, I think this is something that we're all aware of, as sea levels rise and extreme weather becomes more common. We're going to deal more often with flooding. Now, waterfront resiliency is maybe a little bit too narrow of a term, because a lot of it, which is something we try to talk to people about, is it's not just, building a higher concrete barrier when, so the waves stop coming over. A lot of it is improving the sort of natural absorption, both of our waterfronts, but also of our streets. I mean, that's something that, I think everyone here saw at the general meeting last month of the flooding that happened in Diker Heights. As we deal with more extreme weather because of climate change, we're going to be seeing more instances of this, and, need to think about how we can make our neighborhoods more resilient against this as it happens. So, like I talked about, absorption is a huge part of this. So really this includes sort of natural defenses against extreme weather and sea level rise, such as, improved, even things just like simple things like seaweed or, local plant life are capable of absorbing a significant amount of stormwater, and seawater that will, then prevent it from rising up onto the Belt Parkway and flooding it out. Of course, it's in an extreme circumstance, you won't be able to handle all of it, but it will help and it will mitigate this. As I mentioned, stormwater elsewhere is also a huge part of this. So, this can also include improving access to bioswales, which are, natural sort of pits that can help absorb water instead of it all going into the sewer system. And then, we also try to encourage people to think about some more of the effects that poor water management and, poor waterfront resiliency can have. For example, the sewage plant that we have, will overflow when it is overwhelmed, which is a disgusting thought, but it does happen. And, so we have to think about that and what we can do around the neighborhood to keep that from happening. So that is one of the big things that we try to work on. Another one is public transit. Did I miss one thing? Yeah, sorry, I slipped through a slide. Clean energy is, that didn't seem right. Clean energy is another thing that we work on. And, would encourage everybody here to think about a little bit more. So, of course, there is the options that everyone knows about of expanding solar farms and wind farms, but there's a lot that we can do even on the most local level to reduce our energy consumption and to reduce our carbon emissions. So, some things, again, clean energy is a little bit of too narrow of a term, but I didn't want the heading of each slide to be a paragraph, so I went with that. So, some local things that we can do are, one, home weatherization. That's a huge thing, and it ties in with the next entry, energy efficiency, so I might address those together. Besides asking all homeowners to electrify their homes, which is a huge expense, and I understand that, there's a lot that we can do so that, especially during the winter months when most homes are burning gas, their money goes farther when we weatherize the homes and when we engage in other energy efficiency programs or tactics or whatever we want to say. So, that's a very broad term, obviously, and if we were to go into all of it, it would be a very long presentation. But, these are just kind of some priorities that we want to get on everybody's, get in everybody's heads. And then the other thing is, development of local wind and solar energy. We're right along New York Harbor. It's one of the most promising areas for wind development. But also there are a lot of solar opportunities just, in individual homes and elsewhere. And so, these are things that I think our community is kind of going to have to navigate its way through. And so, we hope that, our community will be receptive to this, and we think that it will really benefit from these programs. But, again, we just kind of want to get people to start thinking about that before we go ahead with it. And then finally, although I kind of gave you guys a bit of a spoiler on this one, is improved access to public transit. So, everybody knows the benefits of improved public transit. It's the same logic as carpooling. When you're riding on a subway or a bus or a ferry along with, 100 other people, you're reducing your carbon emissions and helping the environment. So there's a lot that can be done. And so some of the things that we've advocated for are, various programs that will basically improve access to public transit, both by, one, making it available to a larger number of people, but also making it a better option for people. So, obviously the most obvious thing is, more bus stops or improved city bike access to give people, more people access to those options. But additionally, we want to try and take a more holistic view of it to make sure that these transit options are connected to each other. So one thing that we've discussed a lot as a group is the possibility of a shuttle or some other option to connect the 69th Street Pier and the ferry to the Bay Ridge Avenue subway stop. These are things that can improve the connectivity of the whole transit system. That way people can actually get around without having to, walk up, 5 avenues to get there. And then the last one, which is, I would say, has probably been the topic we've been most involved in, is improving transit options between and within the outer boroughs. So, I think everybody knows our transit system is very Manhattan centric right now, with the exception of the buses, maybe. So we will, we try to push for options that improve transit access, between Brooklyn and Staten Island, but also between Brooklyn and between Bay Ridge and other neighborhoods within South Brooklyn, between, say, Coney Island or even further out. Neighborhoods that are very close to each other, but you would have to backtrack on like the N or the Q or something else for, an hour or whatever to get there right now. So these are some of the things that will help, because again, we want to make it a viable option for people so that they can actually use these on a more regular basis. So I know the presentation has been going a little long, so I'll run through this quickly, just a bit about our future and, what we hope to continue doing as a group. One kind of in line with our mission statement we had at the top, we want to improve public awareness about some of these environmental issues and get people talking about them, in a more day-to-day basis. But we also, again, want to become a kind of source of local information, so that people who are curious about an environmental issue that affects Bay Ridge, but also, larger state, citywide, or even federal or international issues, they can come to us and get some information on what these issues mean for them. And also we want to encourage people to undertake their own projects, and engage with these issues themselves. So these are things that we've talked about, and we're hoping that we can do that in the next few years. We're also working to partner with other groups outside of Bay Ridge. I think we've been very good at that so far, especially in our advocacy work. But, in our volunteering work and in our education as well, we want to make sure that we're working with other groups, not reinventing the wheel. And I think that'll make us more efficient and more useful as, an organization for the community. And then finally, one thing that we've discussed, and we are trying to work towards, is becoming a 501c3. We have talked about a lot of the advantages of that, some of the funding that we could get and then in turn use to, push some of these projects forward ourselves. We don't collect dues or anything like that. So, we're hoping that we can expand a little bit that way. That's, again, further down the road, but something I thought I'd get on everyone's mind. So yeah, again, sort of the purposes today is to introduce ourselves to you, but also get everybody to think about some ways that we can work together going forward. And we hope that the same way we want to be a resource for the community, we'll hope that you will all see the environmental group as a resource as well. There's a lot of work that we have done so far, and a lot of that we are still learning to do and getting better at, every month. So, please keep us in mind and reach out to us if there's ever anything that this committee or the community board as a whole wants to do, and we will help however we can. And next, I guess, just, open it up if anybody had any questions about the group or, what we do, what we can do. Again, I don't want to go on for too long because I know we also have Narrows Botanical Garden. But
thank you, Danny. Maybe if you stop share so we could see if there are any questions. I don't see any hands, but there we go. We can see everyone.
I did have one question for you, Danny. I know that you were talking a lot about like education and engagement and stuff. Is there a place on, like, do you have a website that they can go to find this information? If they're not seeing you at the stroll or what have you?
sure. So right now we're all on social media, but I guess I should have included it in the Our Future side. A website is something we are working on getting up. I'm hoping by the end of this year. So that will then be a kind of resource that people can begin to go to on a more regular basis.
Does anyone else have any questions?
No, I don't have a question, but I want to thank Danny for coming as well. And congratulations on being a member of Board 10. And just on some of the points that he raised in the presentation, as we all know, we were in attendance last month for those 30 residents who came about stormwater backups that they were experiencing in raw sewage. But this board has advocated over the years, and our executive committee is going to be presenting at the October board meeting. We have about 8 locations that have reached out to the board over the years. And certainly it's been this board that back in 2008 advocated for the streetscape text amendment to increase plantings in front yards. And I think looking at certainly ways that we can maintain our tree pits that we have is awesome, Daniel. And we've, as a committee, have also done some, as a committee, been out there on Fifth Avenue with some local residents to improve some of the tree pits, and with our bid on some of the projects, working with scouting groups to absolutely advocate for that. And I think as much absorption as we can advocate for as a community, especially in locations where we're dealing with stormwater accumulations and flooding and backups. And I think that's certainly maybe a future project, Tracy, that we can focus on a little bit more. 10th Avenue was bumped up to our #1 priority. And certainly we're going to focus a lot more on resiliency in our district needs statement this year. So it's all very timely. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Oh, Larry? Sorry.
Yes. You hear me now?
Yes, Larry.
No, you mentioned some sort of a transit link or between the Bay Ridge Avenue subway and the 69th Street Pier. What did you have in mind? What was that supposed to be? Was that like an MTA route or some sort of a new type of operation?
Yeah, I mean, we, to be totally honest, haven't, worked through all of the specifics, but, we kind of, I think, envisioned it as part of the MTA as a shuttle to connect the ferry.
So there already is a bus line there already. It's
yeah, but we were thinking more a free shuttle, to be honest, to kind of make sure, because, at that point we kind of have already thought it's a little strange, and I understand this is beyond the power of the community board, that you can't use your Metro card to get on the city ferry system. That has seemed odd to us all along. So we're just trying to reduce the number of steps that people have. Again, I realize it's not like the most detailed proposal at this moment, but that's how we've thought about it so far.
Well, I'll give an example. I visited Sydney in Australia, and pretty much the ferry system is like the New York system has evolved, but it's actually fully integrated with the surface transportation system. Trains and also buses as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the ferry has been one of our biggest sort of pet projects, because I mean, realistically, it's not a part of the transit system yet, and we hope that it will be, and hope that it will especially be used in sort of what we were talking about of the outer borough.
Yeah, in the interim, have you even considered having a ferry to Staten Island?
Yeah,
restoring the one that was closed in November 1964. So
yeah,
we have.
That's come up, and we've raised that issue a couple of times in the past.
Yeah, we've pushed very, very loudly and constantly for that one. We had a petition last year around this time, that got around 5,000 signatures, which we shared with the New York EDC. You know, they've now, from my understanding, they've put a freeze on ferry expansions because they're reevaluating who their contractor is going to be. But you know, we hope that that is a temporary pause and that they'll take this up again. They have acknowledged us.
They're establishing ferries from some of these remote locations in your peninsulas in the Bronx. And here we are just staring across the water, just 1 mile across. And there's St. George and Staten Island. You have to go a roundabout way to go. And whereas 60 years ago, there was a ferry that took you just right across.
Exactly. Yeah. So that is something that we've really tried to push for. You know, again, some of it is outside of our hands, but you know, when the EDC starts back up with this, we're really hoping to push hard for that.
Issa?
Yeah, Daniel, first, good work on everything you're doing. I think it's impressive, and you've been doing it for now a few years. It's going on a few years, right?
Yeah, 2 in November.
Okay, great. So I think on the 3rd year, you'll be eligible to start accepting grants or looking into getting grants.
We're hoping. You know, I mean, that was kind of why I flagged like the fact that we're pursuing 501c3 status. You know, to be honest, like one of the things we've had is because we have now for 2 years functioned as a group that does not collect dues and frankly does not have any money. You know, we've learned to function that way. So part of it is also thinking about, you know, what we can do with that money were we to get it. So, you know, it's kind of, we're working on it at both ends, but it's a long process. I hope that by the end of next year, we'll be through it.
Yeah. Also, it'd be a good idea to make contact with the executive director of the Fifth Avenue bid, Amanda. I think there's a lot of projects you guys can probably collaborate together with. And if you know, I'll share that information maybe afterwards.
That would be great.
Yeah, if I can I'll get your email maybe through the chair or Josephine.
Yes, absolutely.
Sounds good.
All right. I guess I'll turn it back to you. Tracy, we can introduce NBG.
Okay, I would like to introduce Richard Holland from Narrows Botanical Gardens. And if you'd like to go ahead and.
Sure. Let me try this. Okay, hello, do you hear me?
Yes, we
Okay.
hear you, Richard.
All right, like I said, I'm filling in for someone okay. This is just a little bit about Shore Road. If you were back in the 1820s, this is what the shoreline looked like.
Richard, I can't see your shared screen.
Oh, how do I do that?
Okay, so on the bottom, there should be 3 buttons. No, there should be a bottom on the button that's green that says share screen. If you hover your
Nope, I don't see any.
No?
Nope, I can't get to anything else.
Oh boy. Dan?
Yeah, sometimes it only pops up if you hover your mouse cursor over like where our faces are. It usually appears at the bottom there. Like sometimes if it's in a smaller screen, it only pops up there. Yeah, unless I think we have you as, unless we don't have rights given for share screen.
No, I
Although
do.
Yeah, but as a panelist, you
Yeah.
should.
The only thing, Rich, maybe you could email it to me and I could share the screen.
I don't know how to do any of this.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
we can. I mean, I can describe what Shore Road used to look like, how bucolic it used to look.
No,
then.
they won't
It's
help with the
beautiful.
projects then.
It was on the shore
Oh.
too.
Yeah, so I can't. Maybe I'll just have to pass on this because if you can't see it, and I don't know what I'm doing here.
yeah, I mean, if you want to, I guess we could reschedule it. If you want.
Yeah, because I don't know what's going on. He didn't tell me that part. He just told me how to go on the Zoom and how to do this thing, and I don't. Yeah.
Don't worry
All right.
about it.
Sorry about it.
No, no worries, no worries. Well, absolutely. We know where to find you guys, and we'll reach out to Jimmy and we can reschedule. That's not a problem at all.
Mm.
Let me just see. I'm trying to see if I find buttons here, if I could push something. No, I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm doing here. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't worry about it. Zoom can be very, very difficult.
Yes.
My share screen icon is right next to my lower hand icon, if that helps you.
Oh, yeah. For
No,
raising and lowering hand.
no, I don't have any of that.
Mhm.
I only have 2 arrows and a pen here.
Hmm.
Yeah.
2 arrows and a pen.
Uh,
I wish I were there with
Oh,
you.
that might be you might be looking at
that's
your
the
slides.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know how to make the slide smaller to do
Oh,
anything
it
else.
might be wherever
Would it be on
your
the top
Zoom.
someplace.
Try if where are our images showing up for you? Like our faces.
They're not.
Oh, that might be it. Try if are you on a Windows or a Mac?
Which is it's the Apple thing. What is that?
Yeah, so there you
I
might
see
have
the
to
Apple.
navigate over to look
I'm
at
really-
where our faces are, like when you first joined. That'll be the Zoom application, and you might be able to see the share screen option from there.
You know what? Apple Mac trackpad. Yeah, no, it's not. Nothing's happening.
Don't worry about it.
All right.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
slideshows, tools. No.
The blue dots.
All right.
Dots,
Sorry
3
about
dots.
that.
I'm seeing that.
Yeah.
No worries. Listen, we are very grateful for all the work that volunteer efforts that take place at Narrows Botanic, and we can certainly reschedule the presentation. That is no
Yeah.
problem at
I
all.
don't know what I'm doing here with this.
Okay. No
No
worries.
worries at all.
No worries. So I do want to share with the committee on another topic really quick, that today we had outreach from the Solid Waste Advisory Board, the SWAB, who is calling all community boards to just flag that they are having a meeting at the end of this month and would like to have as many board members in Brooklyn attend. So I don't have the date yet. They don't have the date yet, but I will get an email. So you'll see something from me within the next few days, and inviting any interested members on the environmental committee to attend. So I wanted to alert you to that. And that was it. That's all I have in terms of announcements. Tracy, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Well, does anyone else have anything that they wanted to speak about this evening?
That disappeared.
Well, if not, then I guess I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Seconded.
Very good. All right. Thank you all.